Welcome back to the Explainer, everyone. Okay, so I am absolutely thrilled you're here today because, well, we're looking at something that is literally shifting the tectonic plates of the digital world right beneath our feet. Just to put this into perspective, right out of the gate, zero-day vulnerabilities that traditionally took human analysts months of grueling work to discover and exploit, yeah, they can now be processed in mere seconds. No joke. If you're a focused learner trying to stay on the bleeding edge of tech, you're exactly where you need to be. Today, we're diving into Mythos. We're talking about the autonomous frontier of cybersecurity. And let me be clear, this is not just some fancy update to your antivirus. This is a massive paradigm shift that fundamentally reshapes cyber defense and cyber risk as we know it.
So, it begs the question, what happens when AI becomes the ultimate hacker, right? For decades, we've always pictured hacking as this deeply human thing. You know, the classic image of someone in a hoodie staring at glowing green code, hunting for that one tiny mistake in a massive system. But what happens when you completely remove human limitations from that equation? We're essentially opening up a new technological Pandora's box here, and honestly, understanding what's inside is absolutely crucial for any of us who interact with the digital world.
Okay, let's dive into this and logically unpack things step by step. Our roadmap for this explainer covers enter Mythos, autonomous vulnerability discovery, the exploit process, empowering non-security engineers, and finally, reshaping modern cyber defense. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, enter Mythos. So, what exactly are we dealing with? Mythos is an AI capable of autonomously discovering and, this is the key word here, weaponizing software vulnerabilities. Now look, we've had automated scanners that can spot basic bugs for ages. That's nothing new. But Mythos? It doesn't just point out a flaw and say, hey, look at this. It autonomously figures out exactly how to attack it. And weaponizing a bug is notoriously hard. You have to chain vulnerabilities together into a functional payload, bypass complex memory protections like ASLR. I mean, historically, that takes weeks of painful trial and error from top-tier human experts. But Mythos does the whole shebang autonomously. It's basically an entire elite cyber attack team all rolled into a single artificial intelligence. Mind-blowing, right? Moving right along to Section 2, autonomous vulnerability discovery. And this brilliantly illustrates the awe-inspiring scale of what we're looking at. Humans are incredible problem solvers, for sure, but a traditional human security team is inherently bottlenecked by, well, physical human limitations. We have to sleep, we need to eat, our eyes get tired reading thousands of lines of code. Mythos AI, on the other hand, operates with unmatched speed, depth, and autonomous scale. To really grasp this, imagine a human team taking a full week just to audit a single code repository. Meanwhile, Mythos is simultaneously scanning thousands of repositories. It's relentlessly tracking these crazy complex data flows across millions of lines of code, hunting down obscure memory leaks or deeply buried logic flaws that human eyes would inevitably miss just out of pure fatigue. It completely outpaces the old manual way of finding bugs. It's not even a contest. Which brings us to Section 3, the exploit process. Let's move to how this actually builds in practice, because Mythos doesn't just stop at finding the bug. It builds complete working exploit chains. It breaks down into 3 distinct steps. Step 1, find the bug. It locates that one tiny, obscure crack in the architecture. But then Step 2, privilege escalation. This is where things get wild. The AI manipulates access tokens or bypasses kernel restrictions, essentially tricking the system into letting it climb the ladder. It goes from being a standard guest user to a deeply entrenched system admin. And finally, Step 3, OS escape. The AI completely breaks out of whatever virtualized environment or sandbox it was trapped in, and boom, it seizes bare metal control of the host machine itself. And again, Mythos chains these insanely complex steps together all on its own. Now, on to Section 4, empowering non-security engineers. Now, what's really interesting, and honestly kind of terrifying about this slide, is the sheer accessibility of the tool. Even engineers with no formal security training were able to produce functional exploits using it. I mean, just pause and think about the magnitude of that for a second. You no longer need to be a master hacker to break into a secure system. That barrier to entry, completely erased. When you start thinking about insider threats or corporate espionage, this changes the entire game. An entry-level dev with a grudge or just an untrained corporate spy, they don't need elite skills anymore. They literally just prompt the AI. It creates this accidental hacker reality that throws modern risk calculation completely out the window. All right, let's pivot to our final segment, Section 5, Reshaping Modern Cyber Defense. So, because of this immense, almost unfathomable power, The creators had a really tough call to make. Ultimately, Anthropic deemed Mythos simply too dangerous for public release. They realized pretty quickly that this wasn't just advanced malware. It was basically a digital weapon of mass destruction. And that realization forced a completely new strategy: strict containment rather than the usual industry standard of responsible disclosure. I mean, you just can't put a tool that autonomously creates complete exploit chains out on the open internet. So they made the call to completely restrict public access to prevent immediate catastrophic misuse. Instead, they restricted access to a vetted group called the Project Glasswing Consortium. And look at these names: Microsoft, Google, Apple, AWS, and a few others. We are looking at a profound shift in industry dynamics here. Normally, these companies are fierce, unyielding market rivals, right? But now, they're being forced to collaborate and share intelligence behind closed doors. Why? Because the existential shared threat of autonomous AI exploits completely overrides their competitive rivalries. These guys are the foundational pillars of the modern internet, and they formed an unprecedented alliance to defend it. So the crucial point here is that this early access allows defenders to harden critical software before attackers can get their hands on similar AI. This is a massive proactive shift. We're essentially witnessing the dawn of AI-driven, self-healing networks. Instead of just sitting around waiting to be attacked, these massive tech giants are using Mythos to generate thousands of hypothetical attacks against their own infrastructure. They're literally using the AI to attack themselves at unmatched speeds, finding the vulnerabilities so they can build immunity patches before a real adversary ever strikes. It is an absolute race against time. The defenders are wielding the ultimate weapon to build an impenetrable shield way before the bad actors figure out how to build the weapon themselves. Which leaves us with this massive, looming question to wrap up our explainer today. Can defenders patch the world before attackers build their own Mythos? The clock is absolutely ticking. Project Glasswing has a head start, sure, but the technology is out there, and the autonomous frontier of cybersecurity has officially been crossed. I highly encourage you to keep a close eye on this space because the digital world is being reshaped literally as we speak. Thank you so much for joining me today and for bringing your focus and curiosity. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll see you in the next explainer.